Listen to me. If you're not hungry right now, you're already late. The clock is ticking, the year's closing fast, and too many people are still sleeping on their own potential. You're waiting for 2026 to start before you decide to change. But let me tell you something, winners don't wait for a new year to get serious. They get hungry before it begins. Hunger isn't about what's on your plate. It's about what's in your heart. It's that fire inside you that refuses to die when life gets tough. It's the voice that says, I can't go another day being average. You can't pray for blessings if you're not preparing for the battle. You can't talk about leveling up when you're not even showing up. Some of you are asking God for more, but you're not giving him your all. Hunger is the difference. Hunger wakes you up when your body wants to sleep. Hunger keeps you studying when your friends are relaxing. Hunger makes you train when no one's watching. Hunger makes you work like you're already behind, even when you're ahead. It's not something you can fake. You can't post hunger on social media. It's proven in silence. It's built in the dark. Before 2026 begins, you've got to look at your life and ask, oh, what am I truly chasing? Because if your vision just scare you, it's too small. You need a goal that makes your stomach turn, that keeps you up at night, that makes you sweat in the gym, that forces you to grow. When you're hungry, you stop blaming people for your situation. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for motivation because your mission drives you. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need a reason that's bigger than your pain. Hunger makes you dangerous, not to others, but to your own doubt. Makes you walk different, talk different, think different. It gives you an energy that can't be bought or borrowed. The problem is too many people lost their appetite for greatness. They got comfortable with being almost consistent, almost successful, almost focused, but almost doesn't win. Almost doesn't break generational curses. Almost doesn't change your life. Real hunger doesn't settle. It fights, it bleeds, it breaks limits. If you can't feel that fire burning inside you right now, it's time to reignite it. Because the way you win in 2026 will determine how you live it. You can't crawl into the new year. You've got to run into it with purpose, with passion, with power. This isn't about waiting for an opportunity. It's about becoming the opportunity. Don't look for doors to open. Build your own door, kick it down, and walk through it with faith. You've got less than you think to prepare, so this is not the time for laziness, distraction, or doubt. This is the time for hunger. Hunger that produces discipline. Hunger that commands results. Hunger that won't be denied. Because when you get hungry before the year begins, you don't just survive the next one. You dominate it. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you're hungry enough to chase. Hunger is not about wishing. It's about war. It's about waking up before the sun rises and refusing to go to sleep until your purpose has been fed. Too many people are praying for blessings, but not preparing for battles. You're asking for increase, but you haven't built the appetite to handle the weight of it. Hunger separates those who dream from those who do. The difference between the average and the great is not talent, not opportunity. It's hunger. Because when you're truly hungry, comfort becomes your enemy. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop waiting for motivation, and you start moving like your life depends on it, because it does. You see, in the book of Matthew, Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." That means hunger is divine. It's spiritual. It's not just about chasing success. It's about craving purpose. When you're truly hungry, you stop caring about what's convenient. You stop saying, I'll start tomorrow, because tomorrow doesn't exist for the hungry. They move today. They grind today. They fight today. Hunger will make you do things other people call crazy. It'll make you study while everyone else sleeps. It'll make you pray when others doubt. It'll make you pray when others doubt. It'll push you to keep knocking on doors long after rejection has become your companion. When you're hungry, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need a reason that burns in your chest so deep that it doesn't let you rest. And let me tell you, some of you lost your hunger because life fed you comfort. You got just enough to survive, and now you think that's enough. But surviving and living aren't the same. Surviving is existing, living is advancing. Hunger brings life back to your vision. Hunger reminds you that mediocrity was never your calling. Hunger breaks chains of laziness, fear, doubt, and procrastination. You can't feed your destiny with crumbs of effort and expect a feast of greatness. Let me ask you, what are you starving for? Because whatever you're not hungry for, you'll never fight for. Hunger is what makes the lion the king of the jungle, not his size or strength. It's his relentless pursuit. The lion wakes up thinking about the hunt, while the gazelle wakes up thinking about survival. The lion doesn't wait for motivation. His instinct drives him. You have that same instinct buried inside you, but you've got to wake it up. Stop feeding your fear and stop feeding your faith. Stop feeding your distractions and start feeding your purpose. Hunger will make you uncomfortable, and that's good. Growth only happens when you're stretched, when you're sweating, when you're in that uncomfortable zone where you question if you can keep going. That's where hunger shows up and whispers, yes, you can. That's where faith and fire meet. In those moments when your energy is gone, when you're tired of trying, hunger will remind you why you started. It's that voice that said, keep pushing. There's more in you. Hunger is the fuel of vision, the heartbeat of progress. Without it, your goals are just words. Remember David, before he became king, he wasn't chosen because he looked the part. He was chosen because he was hungry for God's purpose. He didn't wait for the battlefield to show his faith. He showed it in the fields while watching sheep. Hunger makes you faithful where nobody's watching. It builds you in private before it reveals you in public. The world sees the crown, but God sees the grind. And if you want to wear the crown, you must first endure the grind. So, as we step closer to 2026, don't pray for an easier road. Pray for deeper hunger. Because when you're hungry, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not fatigue. Hunger will have you walking through storms with confidence, knowing that every test is training you for the throne. You won't quit because quitting doesn't feed you anymore. The applause won't matter. The setbacks won't break you because your hunger isn't for approval. It's for purpose. And when you feed that hunger daily with discipline, with prayer, with effort, watch how your life changes. Watch how doors open, how strength rises, how opportunities appear. Hunger attracts favor. Hunger draws resources. Hunger moves heaven on your behalf. But the moment you stop feeding it, the moment you get comfortable, that fire starts to fade. So guard your hunger like your life depends on it, because it does. Hunger is what separates the history makers from the excuse makers. Hunger is what turns a one died into day one. Hunger is what will carry you from who you are to who you were meant to be. So before 2026 begins, ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Because your future won't respond to your wishes. It will respond to your hunger. You can't expect a new season if you're still living with last season's mindset. Too many people are asking God for a breakthrough, but they're holding on to the same habits that broke them last time. You can't enter 2026 with the same excuses, the same circles, the same level of effort, and expect a new outcome. Change doesn't come because the calendar flips. It comes when your mentality shifts. You've got to get to the point where you're not just inspired for a day, but transformed for a lifetime. That's the real hunger, the hunger for change, not comfort. This comfort kills progress. Comfort whispers, you're doing enough, when deep down you know you're capable of more. In the book of Romans, it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's not a suggestion, that's a command. Because transformation starts inside before it ever shows up outside. You can't pray for promotion and still think like an intern. You can't ask for abundance and still operate with a scarcity mindset. God doesn't bless confusion, He blesses preparation. And preparation begins in your thoughts. If you want to go higher, you got to think higher. You've got to stop letting temporary feelings dictate eternal goals. You see, the enemy doesn't attack your body first, he attacks your mind. Because if he can plant doubt, fear, and insecurity in your thoughts, you'll destroy yourself before the world ever has the chance to. That's why renewing your mind daily is critical. You can't think greatness once a week and expect to live in victory every day. This is a daily grind, a daily discipline. You've got to wake up every morning and tell yourself, I'm not who I was yesterday. I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm changing. You've got to talk to your future until it drowns out your past. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't talent, it's mindset. There are people with half your skill living double your dream because they decided to think differently. They stopped focusing on what they lacked and started focusing on what they could build. They stopped asking, why me? and started declaring, try me. You've got to understand, God has already given you the tools, but he won't build a house for you. He'll give you the material, but you've got to lay the bricks. You've got to renew your mind to see possibility where others see problems. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, not because God didn't have a promised land for them, but because they didn't have the mindset to handle it. They were delivered physically, but still enslaved mentally. And that's where many people are today. You've been freed from the past, but you're still living like a prisoner of your old thoughts. You're praying for new doors while holding on to old keys. You're asking for blessings, but your mindset is still operating in scarcity, fear, and comparison. You can't walk into your promised land with an Egypt mentality to truly get hungry before 2026. You must develop a renewed mind that sees obstacles as opportunities. When life hits, you don't crumble, you analyze, adjust, and advance. You stop taking setbacks personally and start taking them as preparation. Every no is training your resilience. Every closed door is teaching you direction. God isn't punishing you, he's positioning you. But you'll only see that if your mind is tuned to faith and not frustration. The world doesn't change when you get more money, more followers, or more applause. It changes when you change how you think. Your thoughts determine your decision, and your decisions shape your destiny. That's why you must guard your mind like a gate. Don't let everyone speak into your spirit. Not every voice deserves access to your thoughts. You've got to be selective about what you feed your mind. You can't consume negativity and expect positivity to grow. You can't spend hours scrolling through comparison and expect confidence to flourish. What you feed will lead. Feed your faith and fear starves. Feed your vision and doubt dies. Feed your purpose and distractions lose their power. Some of you need to stop praying for strength and start practicing it. Strength doesn't show up until it's tested. You've got to train your mind to push, even when your emotions say quit. That's why David wrote, I'ma bless the Lord at all time. He didn't say it when it's easy. He said that all time. Because faith isn't built in comfort. It's built in consistency. When you learn to control your mind, you control your momentum. The mind is the battlefield, and 2026 will belong to those who've mastered those who've mastered. You can't wait until January to shift. The change must begin now, because your mind is either your weapon or your weakness. It will either build you or break you. You've got to make a decision tonight that you will not carry old thoughts into a new year. You're not bringing fear, insecurity, or laziness into your next level. You're walking in with clarity, conviction, and courage. And when that transformation happens inside you, everything else follows. Doors open that were once locked. Opportunities appear where there were only obstacles. Because when your mind aligns with your purpose, heaven aligns with your effort. God doesn't need perfect people. He needs renewed ones. People who can see past their pain and still move in purpose. People who wake up hungry, not just for success, but for growth. Because the moment your mindset shifts, your entire life begins to move in that direction. So as you prepare for 2026, don't ask for a new year, ask for a new mind. Because the year won't change until you do. Discipline is the bridge between your hunger and your harvest. You can't just talk about what you want in 2026. You've got to train for it, work for it, bleed for it. The dream doesn't come because you're excited. It comes because you're consistent. Discipline is what separates those who are inspired from those who are transformed. Inspiration wakes you up. Discipline keeps you going. You can shout about change all you want, but if you don't build the structure to sustain it, it'll collapse the moment pressure hits. Discipline is not about what feels good. It's about what's right, what's necessary, what's required to reach your destiny. You can't pray for success and then sleep through opportunity. You can't ask God to bless your future when you're not faithful in your present. The Bible says in Luke 16:10, whoever is faithful in little will be faithful in much. That means if you can't handle the small tasks with excellence, you're not ready for the bigger blessings. Discipline starts in the little things. How you wake up, how you work, how you respond when no one's watching, because God tests your consistency before he trusts you with capacity. Everybody wants the crown, but few want the cross. Everybody wants the platform, but few want the preparation. You've got to understand that discipline is spiritual warfare. Your flesh wants comfort. Your spirit wants growth. And the two are always at war. Paul said, I beat my body and make it my slave because he knew that if he didn't discipline his desires would destroy his destiny. You can't let your emotions lead the way. They'll mislead you every time. You've got to lead your emotions. Discipline is choosing purpose over pleasure, focus over feelings, long-term reward over short-term relief. That's why some people quit right before the breakthrough, because discipline is painful before it's powerful. Think about an athlete training for the Olympics. They don't wake up when they feel like it. They don't eat whatever they crave. They don't eat whatever they crave. They have a standard, a system, a structure that governs their life, and that structure protects their greatness. Some of you are praying for more success, but you don't need more success. You need more structure. You need order. You need boundaries. You need discipline. God is not going to pour blessings into a life that leaks through laziness. You've got to build a character that can contain the calling. When Jesus fasted 40 days in the wilderness, the enemy tempted him with shortcuts. Bread for hunger, fame for obedience, and that's what the devil still does today. He tempts you with the easy route. Oh, he whispers, oh, I'll wait where you can have it now. But shortcuts cut character. Anything you get without discipline, you'll lose without discipline. The enemy doesn't fear your talent. He fears your consistency, because consistency builds power. The person who shows up daily, even when it's tough, will always outrun the one who shows up only when it's convenient. Discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the process that shapes your potential into power. You're not being delayed, you're being developed. Every early morning, every late night, every sacrifice is a seed. And when the time is right, those seeds will bloom. But if you stop watering them with effort, faith, and patience, you'll never see the harvest. That's why the Bible says, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. That even is everything. The harvest belongs to those who refuse to quit. You've got to train your spirit like a soldier. How do soldiers don't wake up and decide whether they feel like fighting. They fight because they're assigned. Discipline doesn't wait for motivation. It moves in obedience. Some of you keep waiting for the right mood, the right timing, the right sign from God. But God already gave you breath. That's your sign. He gave you purpose. That's your direction. Now it's time to move. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start with what you have. God doesn't bless procrastination. He blesses preparation. You have to get to the point where discipline becomes your identity. You don't just do it when people are watching. It's who you are. You work hard not for applause, but because excellence is your standard. You don't need external validation when you have internal conviction. You wake up early, you grind, you study, you pray, you push, not because it's easy, but because destiny demands it. Discipline is doing what's right even when nobody claps. Look at Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, thrown into prison, but he never lost discipline. He kept serving, kept working, kept believing. And when the time came, he went from the pit to the palace because his discipline was stronger than his disappointment. That's the kind of spirit you need before 2026. Life will throw betrayal, pain, rejection, and delay your way. But if your discipline is rooted in faith, nothing can stop your rise. Because at the end of the day, discipline is a reflection of faith. When you stay committed through the struggle, you're telling God, I'll trust you. You're saying, even when I don't see results, I'll still show up. That's what faith looks like. Not just praying for blessing, not just praying for blessing, but preparing for them. You gotta work like it's already yours. You've gotta move like the promise is already in motion, because discipline is proof that you believe what you prayed for. And when your discipline aligns with your destiny, doors open that effort alone can't unlock. You become unstoppable, not because you're the fastest or the strongest, but because you're faithful. Discipline doesn't make you perfect. It makes you powerful. It doesn't eliminate struggle. It trains you to rise through it. It trains you to rise. And when 2026 arrives, those who planted discipline in the dark will shine the brightest in the light. You can't shine in 2026 if you're still running from the grind in 2025. You've got to make peace with pressure. You've got to make peace with pressure. You've got to embrace the process. Everybody wants the promise, but nobody wants the preparation. You say you want to be great, but greatness is not born in comfort. It's forged in fire. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Gold isn't pure until it's been through the furnace. The oil doesn't flow until the olive is crushed. So don't despise the crushing. Don't run from the heat. What feels like pain right now might just be God polishing you for your platform. Some of you are praying for growth but rejecting the growing pains. You're asking God for strength but avoiding the struggle that builds it. You can't get muscle without resistance. You can't get wisdom without mistakes. You can't get victory without battle. The Bible says in James 1:2-4, account it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. You've got to see trials differently. They're not punishment, they're preparation. Every obstacle is an opportunity dressed in difficulty. Every setback is a setup for strength. You've got to stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's this teaching me? Because the moment you shift your mindset, your pain becomes purpose. Life's not happening to you, it's happening for you. That heartbreak, that loss, that disappointment, God didn't allow it to break you. He allowed it to build you. You can't step into 2026 with the same weak mindset that kept you bound in 2024. You've got to develop endurance now, because endurance is what carries you when excitement runs out. Discipline gets you started, but endurance keeps you standing. Let me tell you something. Growth hurts because your old self is dying. You're shedding layers of laziness, fear, doubt, and procrastination. And that's not easy. That's why people quit halfway through. They want the glory, but not the grind. They want the outcome, but not the obedience. But remember, even Jesus had to go through Gethsemane, that place of crushing. Before the resurrection, there is no crown without the cross. There is no elevation without endurance. You've got to learn to stay when it's uncomfortable, to trust when it's uncertain, to move when it's messy, because God does his best work in broken places. You can't keep quitting every time it gets hard. You can't keep retreating every time pressure hits. Now, that pressure is revealing what's inside you. If you fold under fire, it means your foundation wasn't solid. You don't need an easier year. You need a stronger spirit. Stop asking God to remove the mountain. Ask him to strengthen your legs to climb it. Oh, because when you get to the top, you'll realize it wasn't about the mountain at all. It was about the person you became while climbing. Think about Joseph, betrayed, enslaved, in prison, yet he never lost focus. His circumstances looked like failure, but God was positioning him. Every test was training. Every betrayal was building his endurance. When the famine came, he was ready, not because life was easy, but because he stayed faithful through the storm. That's what endurance looks like. You keep showing up when nobody believes in you. You keep grinding when results don't come. You keep praising when prayers aren't answered. You keep sowing when the soil looks dry, because you trust that in due season your harvest will come. The truth is, endurance exposes the difference between dreamers and doers and doers. Dreamers love to talk about what they'll do. Doers stay in the fight when nobody's clapping. Dreamers want recognition. Doers want results. You can't fake endurance. You can fake passion for a day. You can fake excitement for a week, but you can't fake consistency for a season. The people who finish strong aren't the ones who started fast. They're the ones who refuse to stop. Sometimes God will delay your breakthrough to see if you're built for it, because he's not just blessing you for you, he's blessing you for you. He's blessing you to lead others. And if you faint every time pressure rises, how will you lead someone else through theirs? You're not just being tested for today, you're being trained for tomorrow. That's why endurance is divine. It builds your faith, deepens your roots, and strengthens your witness, People don't believe your words. They believe your walk. When they see you standing through storms that would have destroyed others, that's when your light starts to shine. You can't let temporary pain make you abandon eternal purpose. This season of struggle is not forever. It's just a chapter. And the same God who started the story will finish it in his perfect time. Don't grow weary. Don't faint. Keep pushing. Keep pressing. Keep trusting. Because while you're waiting, he's working. While you're struggling, he's shaping. While you're enduring, he's equipping. Every tear, every trial, every test, none of it is wasted. So don't just get through this season. Grow through it. Let every obstacle refine you, not define you, not define you. Let every delay develop you, not destroy you. You're being stretched for something greater. The reason the pressure feels heavier is because the purpose is bigger. You've been asking for elevation, and elevation requires endurance. You've been praying for impact, and impact requires integrity under pressure. The blessing you're believing for in 2026 is connected to how you endure right now. Don't run from the fire, let it refine you. Don't escape the storm, learn to dance in the rain. Because when you emerge from this season, you won't just be stronger, you'll be unstoppable.